we start the animation of the bevel. We select the bevel 2, go to the frame 50, activate on Z-800. Go to frame 142, and insert 0. We select the bevel 3 and go to frame 95. On Y, activate -5.5. In frame 125, insert 0. Go to Door Clouse Group and select the layer Bevel 4. Let's go to frame 45, and on Z, activate -437. In frame 142, insert 0. To create the movement to L, we activate on X, -33. In frame 154, insert 0. To animate the parts that make up the cap's frontal, we can animate at random, from frame 50 to 137, on the Z position all paths, except the 123, 130 and 127, which must not be animated. We see the result. You can modify the movement as you like. To simplify the work, I connected the paths that make up the cap's frontal in a single extrude. Repeat the same procedure on caps behind. Must match the total closure of the letter in the frame 137. We complete the animation with layer Door Clouse. Let's go to frame 0, in the z-coordinate, insert -33. In frame 35, activate on Y a keyframe. Activate Y, in the frame 35 and 45. In frame 35, change the value from 1.6 to 16. In the frame 45, activate Z. And in the frame 58, insert -7.688. This is the complete movement of the letter O. This technique of subdivision, organization and animation, to be applied on all the other letters. It is very difficult, but necessary to achieve an effect similar to the original, because, with the plugin Trowsy, you cannot get the cuts you want, but just random. In this case the letter O is in the foreground in the animation, in the other letters you can make cuts and animation that you like. This is the result of the work. Let's look together the cuts and animation, which I have applied to every letter to simulate the original. To obtain a good result on your logos, you must subdivide and animate each letter in a different way. Very nice. Incredible. To appreciate the animation, you need to enter a camera animated. Followed on video the parameters. To make the fluid movement of the camera, we'll set keyframes in reverse mode, taking care the activation of keyframes alternated. This trick allows you to create smooth animations of the camera, without intervening in the F-curves panel. OK, follow on video the activation parameters of the keyframes, and the position coordinates. Sorry, the frame 103 is not correct. In fact, the camera has a wrong movement. Modify the correct values. OK, problem solved. We see the result. Wow! Very cool. Proceed with the animation of the subtitle. Insert the tag display. On visibility, activate keyframes in frame 170 to 100. And in frame 143 to 0. In this way we create a fade-in animation. Proceed with the creation of the microcosm within the letter O, to give more effect to our animation. Disable all layers except the letter O. To make the procedure simple and fast in all views, we put in front view. Before, we save the file TF35. Insert a cube in the scene, and in the object panel, insert 163, 24.5, 41.5. The position coordinates are x, 68.9, y, 119, z, -10. As we can see, the cube is not aligned with the letter O. It becomes clear just we begin to realize the animation. Okay, let's go in the frame 45 and activate Z. Let's go to frame 41 and insert 14.332. To understand this step, we activate the camera and we analyze the movement. So we created the illusion that the cube corresponds with the closing animated of the layer door close. Very nice. Insert material metal 3 on the cube. Projection on cubic, with the values, length U and V, to 20. We convert the cube into polygonal object, and rename dark room. With the polygon selection tool, select the face of the cube, that represents the output of the camera, and delete. We see the result with the camera animated. Okay, perfect. Let's create the texture, to give a dark room with our high-tech style. Insert a new cube with a measure of 0.76. It is a very small cube for our scene. We apply the texture metal 4. With length U to 137 and length V to 50. Now convert it to polygon object and rename rhombus. We select the top face of the cube and in the coordinates panel, on Z, We insert 0.35. We got a rhombus. Insert the cloner tool. In the Object panel, select the type object. Drag in the Line Activation Darkroom. We disable the Check Align Clone. As we see it added to the clones, in the corners of dark rooms. To cover all sides we have to set distribution on surface. If we take the numbers of clones in 1500, and activate the camera, we can see better the result. We apply a random effector. And in its parameter panel, modify positions 1, 1, 0. And scale 5, 3, 5. If we insert the number of clones from 1500 to 15,000, we can admire the result. Fantastic! Do not forget to activate the light ambient light. If we render the effect is very bright, but if in the render settings, apply a few effects, we can make the result unique. Ambient occlusion, vector motion blur. And global illumination with the following values, -2, -4, 60, 25, 50. Unfortunately, although we have optimized GI, however, it takes a long time to render our scene. But the result is very cool. Obviously, if we let 15,000 clones our file becomes very slow to operate. Set this value only for the final rendering. If we activate all the letters we see that the dark room is beyond the letter O. This is done on purpose, to create the illusion that the camera is in a very large space inside. OK, we apply on all layers animated the tag motion blur, to make active the previously selected effect in the render settings panel. OK, to complete add to the layer darkroom, the tag display, and activate on visibility, in the frame 44 the value 100. And in the frame 45 the value 0. In this way, after the closing of the door layer, the entire block darkroom will not be visible in our animation. Strategic. Insert the tag display even in the letters O and R. We make them invisible to frame 41. And from frame 42 are visible with value to 100. There remains a small gap open, we repair immediately. OK, duplicate the darkroom layer, and rename plane. Delete all faces except the bottom. And with the help of the front view, move it along the x-axis. To align with the edge of the letter O. OK, we can proceed with the final renderings. Obviously ambient light must have the tag display, with the same characteristics of the darkroom layer. In the darkroom, you can also include other elements, text or video to make interesting the final result. For the first render TF3 start we can make a single part, from frame 0 to 90. But if it is very heavy for the rendering, you can split it into two parts, from 0 to 45, and 45 to 90. OK, let's see the result. Fabulous! All details are available. We continue with the second render. But first, save the file, TF306 dark texture. And replace the material Metal 4 with Metal 3, with the Alt key pressed. So replace the material in all element. Cool. We render TF3 end, from frame 45 to 185. Okay, now that we have all the parts we need, and we can proceed with After Effects, to complete our incredible project. Open After Effects, and import the videos in the project panel. Drag the video start 2000 to 45 and create the work comp. Open the panel composition setting and stretch the timeline up to 185. Let's go to frame 45, and add the video start 45 to 90. Finally we add TF3 and always from the frame 45. OK are perfectly overlapped. Activate opacity. And in frame 100, insert the value 0. With this simple step we create on the logo, a change texture from sci-fi to dark. At the end the logo must give a false sense of 2D. OK, we select the 3 layers and create a pre-comp layer. Let's go to frame 143, and separate the subtitle Dark of the Moon with simple masks. Follow the steps on video. We understand why, in the next steps. OK, we insert a solid layer, rename it, Lens Flare. Let's go to frame 150, and we apply a preset, very interesting. I recreated this lens flare using optical flares. For lovers of this plugin, I put in the folder, the preset for the plugin, to use for your other animations. We set the add mode. We continue and insert an adjustment layer, rename it Color Correction and apply the first effect. Levels, with white inputs to 122. As we can see, to correct the result, drag it between layers logo and subtitle. Apply, brightness and contrast, 7 and 33. OK, to correct the color, in this case, you can use CC color offset between levels and brightness. The values are 14, -7, -27. To complete, we insert exposure with value -0.40 and gamma to 0.70. OK, view the result. If we want to give a brighter tone in the first part up to 97 frames, we can apply an adjustment layer, with the levels effect. We set the gamma to 0.78, and set the layer in add mode. We can set opacity to our pleasure, to get the effect you want. OK, we complete by inserting in the subtitle layer, a levels with value of 194. Perfect. With these adjustment layers you can make many changes in color and brightness, you set it as you like. Rename the composites in TF3 Preview. We import the audio file. And after being added to our project, we proceed with the final rendering. OK guys, this is the result of our work. Obviously, if you add the details in the first part, the result will be very cool. To you and your imagination the task. If you want to add the final explosion, you can apply the technique of the excellent tutorial of the amateur media. The final result will be really cool. I remind you the next appointment for the realization of the movie titled Harry Potter. Another very interesting animation. I hope this tutorial has been to your liking. By Antonio Seri of CRRNTN.com. See your space. Transformers cheers.